Do you have any favorite Final Fantasy track?
That's very hard, very hard. I used to say, when people ask me that, I used to say Aerith's theme, simply because it's just so breathtakingly beautiful. But of course, who doesn't love One Winged Angel? A fantastic piece. I never get tired of playing it. I must say that doing some of the new battle music that we've started introducing over this last year or two has been very exciting. I mean, you know, of course we've been doing the opening bombing mission and the Don't Be Afraid, you know, things like that. They're fantastic pieces. But we've just started playing Man with a Machine Gun, which is, I really like. I think it's a fantastic piece. And I really like Geneva. That's a lot of fun. Dancing Mad is more of like a kind of this epic thing, you know. And it's also written much more fragmented. So it's 12 minutes long, but it's, you know, a minute of this, 2 minutes of that, and they're all different, you know, each battle, each scene, you know. So they're not really related. It just is kind of a suite of things that goes through. But Geneva, that's fun. It was fun. And I think that may be some pattern that we do where we are able to orchestrate some of these other tracks that never were orchestrated before, and that may be an interesting way to add more repertoire. And I'm looking at a couple of other new pieces for this next year or two as we keep, for instance, The Oath. That's another one that we have never played that we're thinking of adding. So, yeah.
Have you played any Final Fantasy games?
I have Final Fantasy VII. We got it. I just tried it a little bit. I'm certainly not a gamer, but I felt, you know, it was important to just at least a little bit figure out what's going on. Frankly, I get more information about what I need to do in terms of the concerts by working directly with Nobuo Uematsu, and he'll send me oftentimes audio tracks that, you know, are kind of developmental tracks as he was composing various themes that are meant to show me the development of various themes, which actually shows me more insight than if I were to stand, you know, play the game for 4 or 5 hours and try to get glimpses of some of the other music that's in there. It's more difficult to get to what I need to get to that way, you know what I mean? I'd rather actually somebody hand me, okay, here's all the audio, you know, I can compare that version of Chocobo to that version of Chocobo, you know, and see the changes. That's more useful for me in terms of putting together these arrangements. So.
What is the difference in conducting video game music compared to your typical symphony?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting question because I think it's important that there be no difference. Okay, that's the secret. It's very interesting to, you know, people think there's a misconception or a preconception, rather, that many people all over the world think, well, classical musicians probably look down their nose at, we're playing video game music. Does that belong on the concert hall stage? But in fact, of course it does. And when the music is written at this high caliber, not all video game music is written there, but when it's written at this high caliber, it's rather important for orchestras to be reaching out to bringing in new audience. I think Stefan Forsberg here understands that. He's kind of looking to branch out more into the community. I mean, should an orchestra, as an organization, you know, think about, should it really just be serving what we call the blue hairs? I mean, you know, the older generation, the traditional classical audience who are dying away and not buying recorded music anymore, really. I mean, it's just, how many more sets of Beethoven and Brahms do we want to hear, you know? I mean, the reality is that they need to find new audience, and this is a wonderful way to bring in a new audience to the concert hall. I think this orchestra understands that. They understand that they have to reach out. And this orchestra, more than any other orchestra that I work with, has no preconceptions about that. I remember the very first time we did play here, and they saw the crowd. The orchestra afterwards said, I've never seen an audience like that. Not because it was raucous at all. It was a very respectful audience. They expected to be raucous. They expected to have a problem of some sort. Never a problem, you know, because it's so respectful. And because the audience is sitting on the end of their chairs trying to hear every note of music. They're not used to that. The classical audience, there's kind of an older audience that sits back and maybe a couple of claps here and there, but it's not the standing ovation and the rapt paying attention to all the music that's going on. And of course, the audience knows the music so well. That's part of it, is that they really know it better than a lot of classical audiences. So I think the orchestra likes that. They feel appreciated, So it's not the case that the orchestra looks down, or the moment you play different kinds of music differently is the moment that you have compromised yourself as a musician. In other words, it doesn't matter if I'm conducting Wagner or Uematsu or Beethoven or Willie Nelson. I mean, you really cannot draw that distinction. A short note has to be played in tune and short. The long phrase, that slur, has to be phrased that way. And as soon as a musician starts saying, oh, it's only video game music, or it's only, so I don't have to play it with the same discipline, or the same, you can't function. There's no possible way to keep your standard of performance by choosing sides. I like this better, so I'll play it better. No such thing. Can't do it. I can't, anyhow. And I think most of this orchestra would agree. So.
When this concert is over, what's the next stop?
Yes, so I was telling you, the next stop for Distant Worlds, I have a couple of concerts in between for other artists. I'm conducting Peter Cetera, the former lead singer from Chicago, with an orchestra show that I wrote in July 1st and 2nd and July 10th with the Columbus Symphony. And then, right after that, Distant Worlds plays with the San Francisco Symphony in Davies Hall the 15th and 16th of July. Then on the 19th of July, we're doing a record release party for Distant Worlds 2. The first party is here tomorrow night, right? The next one is in Los Angeles on the 19th. Uematsu will be there with me. And then after that, we do San Diego Symphony, July 22nd. Then July 24th is the Houston Symphony. And then July 30th is Washington, D.C. and the National Symphony. So that's the big month of July for Distant Worlds. After that, then there's a lot of new things coming in for start advertising some new shows that are coming up for the rest of the year. So.
Okay.